Your son just punched me.
I told my mom my brother hit me and she asked, "What did you do to set him off?" She kept going, "He's never hurt anyone else." I stared at her. "Are you serious right now? Your son just punched me in the face and you're asking what I did?" She kept smoothing frosting over my little sister Krista's birthday cake like we were chatting about nothing. "I'm asking because I know my son," she said, all calm. "And I know you. You've always known how to push his buttons." A short, ugly laugh burst out of me, a sound I didn't even recognize. "He hit me because I told him to turn himself in for what he did to Nora." Her hand froze. "Excuse me." Nora, the girl down the street, the one he was seeing. I pulled my phone out and found the recording from when I faced Brad. "You want to know who your son really is? Listen." I pressed play and Brad's voice filled the kitchen. She kept saying she wasn't in the mood, but I knew she didn't mean it. We were together. It's not like I had a gun to her head. She just laid there crying the whole time, but she didn't leave, right? Not my fault she couldn't take it. I watched my mom's face, waiting for something, shock, horror, anything. When it ended, all she said was, "Where did you get that?" "I just told you, I recorded him when I..." She snatched the phone from my hand before I could stop her. "Mom, don't." But she was already swiping, already deleting. "This family doesn't need your drama," she said, shoving the phone back at my chest. "Not today." Just like that, it was gone. Then she headed for the stairs to go tell Brad everything. But she wasn't getting up there before I got my answers. She could delete a file, but she couldn't delete what she already knew. That lack of change in her face when she heard him, that wasn't surprise. That was her recognizing the truth. She'd been covering for him, and I was going to find out how long. Mom thought she was ending this. She didn't know I was just starting. I was going to make her say what she really knew and when she knew it. "I'll tell you what happened." I grabbed her arm before she reached the stairs. "You knew about Nora, didn't you?" She tried to pull free, but I held tight. "Let go of me, Leslie. Answer me first." "I don't know what you're talking about." But I saw it, a tiny crack in her mask, a flicker in her eyes for just a second before she smoothed her face back into that blank, calm look she always wore. That flicker told me everything. "How long have you known?" I asked. She yanked her arm away and turned fully to face me. "Nora came to me 3 weeks ago," she said, and my stomach fell straight through the floor. She showed up at the door crying, saying Brad hurt her. And you know what I told her? I told her that what happens between a boyfriend and girlfriend in private isn't something she gets to call assault just because she changed her mind the next morning. "So you heard a 17-year-old girl say your son hurt her, and your first thought was to defend him?" "My first thought was to get the facts. And the fact is, Nora regrets a choice she made, and now she's trying to call it something it was. Rape doesn't happen in a relationship, Leslie. She said yes the moment she agreed to be with him. That's not how it works, and you know it. You can be with someone and still say no. You can be married and still say no." He told me she kept saying she wasn't in the mood and he ignored her. She told me she cried the whole time and he didn't stop. That's not a mix-up, that's assault. She never said stop. She admitted that to me herself. Because she was frozen, because she was scared out of her mind. Because the boy she trusted had her pinned in his car and she didn't know what to do. Have you ever been that scared you couldn't move? Have you ever watched someone you love turn into a stranger? That's what happened to her. What happened is she made a choice and regrets it. I'm not letting her ruin my son's future over a bad decision. His future, what about hers? What about the fact she can't sleep? What about her flinching every time she sees a car like Brad's? What about her coming to me shaking so bad she could barely talk because she thought no one would believe her? And she was right. She came to you first and you proved her right. Mom's expression didn't shift. I handled it the right way. I talked to Brad, told him to stay away from her, said the relationship was done and he needed to move on. And he listened. He's focused on school, on his future, on college. He made a mistake with that girl and he's past it. A mistake? You're calling rape a mistake? Like forgetting homework, like missing curfew. I'm calling it what it was, a miscommunication between two teenagers who shouldn't have been alone in the first place. And I handled it. I talked to Nora's mother last week, woman to woman. I explained that teenage girls get confused about these things, that it's best for everyone if this just goes away. Why quietly, her mother agreed. You went behind Nora's back and got her mom to shut her up. Do you hear yourself? Does that sound sane to you? I hear a mother protecting her family, something you wouldn't get since you walked out on yours. I left because of this, because you've spent your whole life making excuses for Brad. Every time he messed up, you blamed someone else. When he broke my arm playing rough, you said I was being dramatic. When he stole money from my room, you said I must have lost it. When he told the whole school I was a liar, you said I was too sensitive. Now he's moved from torturing me to assaulting girls, and you're still standing here saying it's not his fault. Your brother has never. Don't you dare tell me who my brother is. I lived with him for 18 years. I know exactly what he can do. The only difference between what he did to me and what he did to Nora is that Nora has proof. I had a recording of him admitting it, or I did, until you deleted it. I deleted an illegal recording that wouldn't have been allowed anyway. You're not a lawyer, Leslie. You're a 20-year-old who thinks she can waltz back in here and blow everything up because you're jealous of your brother. Jealous? You think I'm jealous of Brad? I'm trying to make him face consequences for once. I'm trying to get Nora some kind of justice. And I'm trying to make sure Krista doesn't grow up thinking this is normal. Because if she sees you protecting Brad after what he did, she'll learn that boys can do whatever they want and girls just have to take it. Is that what you want her to learn? Don't bring Krista into this. She's already in it. She lives here. She sees how you treat Brad like he's perfect and me like everything I say is a lie. What do you think that's teaching her? Mom stepped closer, her voice dropping low. I've already told Aunt Ruth and Uncle Jim you've been having a hard time lately. Mental health problems, a habit of making up stories for attention. So if you're thinking of telling anyone anything at Krista's party or anywhere else, just know I've laid the groundwork. No one will believe you. She'd been planning this, building a case against me before I even walked in. You've been telling people I'm crazy. I've been getting ready for this. I know you, Leslie. I knew you'd try something. You've always wanted to tear Brad down, so I made sure whatever you say, people will see it for what it is. A sad cry for attention from a girl who couldn't stand not being the favorite. I never wanted to be the favorite. I was trying to survive. The fact you can't tell the difference says everything about you. It says I'm a mother who protects her children, all of them. Even the one who keeps trying to wreck this family. You're not protecting Krista. You're protecting Brad from Krista finding out who he really is. And if you think I'll let her grow up in this house without knowing the truth, if you say one word to Krista, you will never see her again. There it was, the real threat. You do that, you'd keep me from my own sister to save him. I'd keep a troubled young woman away from my 11-year-old daughter. Any court would back me once they hear about your behavior. The accusations, the illegal tape, the harassment. I'll get a restraining order if I have to. You're bluffing. Try me. She reached up and patted my cheek, the bruised one. She patted it hard enough to make me flinch, hard enough that I knew it was on purpose. Clean yourself up, she said. Guests are here in an hour. Then she walked past me toward the stairs like we were done, but she forgot about the one person in this house she can't control. Dad's in the garage right now, clueless that his wife has been hiding his son's crimes, manipulating Nora's mother, and building a story to make me look insane. Mom thinks she holds all the power. She's about to learn Dad's been watching Brad longer than any of us. I'm going to show him this bruise, the one his son gave me and his wife just made worse. I'm going to tell him everything. Then we'll see who he chooses. I found Dad in the garage, bent over his workbench, lining up his socket wrenches like everything at home was fine. He looked up when I walked in and his face changed the second he saw me. His eyes went right to my cheek and his whole body stiffened. Who did that to you? He asked, his voice low and dangerous in a way I'd only heard a few times. Brad, I said, about an hour ago. Right before I played him a recording of himself admitting he assaulted Nora, and right before Mom deleted it and said I'd never see Krista again if I talked. Dad put the wrench down slowly. Start from the beginning. So I did. I told him everything. I told him about Nora showing up at my place 2 weeks ago, shaking too hard to talk straight. I told him how she said she and Brad had been together 3 months, how one night they were parked in his car and she kept telling him she wasn't in the mood, and he kept pushing and pushing until he wasn't asking anymore. He was just taking. I told him she cried the whole time and he didn't stop, that she felt like she floated out of her body and watched from somewhere else, that when it was over, he drove her home like nothing happened, and that she sat in her shower for 2 hours trying to scrub the feeling of him off her skin. I told him I recorded Brad 3 days ago when I cornered him in his car. That I got him to talk. That he said she kept saying she wasn't in the mood, but he knew she didn't mean it. That she just laid there and cried, but she didn't leave, so that was on her. That it wasn't his fault she couldn't handle it. I told him Mom heard that recording and didn't even blink. I told him Mom knew about Nora for 3 weeks because Nora came to her first, and Mom sent her away saying rape doesn't exist in a relationship. I told him Mom went to Nora's mother and convinced her to keep quiet. I told him Mom's been telling Aunt Ruth and Uncle Jim I have mental problems, so no one would believe me if I spoke up. I told him Mom threatened to get a restraining order and make sure I never saw Krista again. And then I told him that after all that, after I stood in that kitchen begging my own mother to care about what her son did to a 17-year-old girl, she slapped me right on top of the bruise Brad left. Dad didn't speak for a long time. He just stood there, hands braced on the workbench, head down like he was holding himself together. When he finally looked up, his eyes were wet. I knew, he said. Those 2 words hit me harder than anything Mom had said all day. What do you mean you knew? I knew something was wrong with him. I've known for years. I couldn't prove it. Didn't have anything solid, just patterns, just a gut feeling that something wasn't right. He pulled out his phone and started scrolling. 3 years ago, Brad told your mom he was staying at Ian's for the weekend. I ran into Ian's dad at the hardware store that same weekend, and he mentioned Ian was at his grandparents' in Ohio. So Brad lied about where he was. I wrote it down. He kept scrolling. Years ago, I found a girl's necklace in his car, asked him about it. He said a friend left it, asked which friend. He said he couldn't remember. I wrote that down too. More scrolling. 18 months ago, his ex-girlfriend Macy's parents called the house asking if we knew why Macy was so upset. They said she wouldn't stop crying and wouldn't say why, but she kept saying Brad's name. Your mother told them Macy was probably just sad about the breakup. I didn't buy it. I wrote it down. He turned the phone toward me. I saw pages and pages of notes. Dates, times, incidents, lies Brad got caught in, girls who seemed wrecked after being with him, times his stories didn't add up, times Dad asked questions and got answers that made no sense. Why didn't you do anything? I asked. I didn't mean for it to sound like an accusation, but it did. Because your mother always had an explanation. Because Brad always had an excuse. Because I didn't have proof of anything except that my son was a liar. And being a liar isn't a crime. I kept telling myself I was paranoid. I kept telling myself that if something really bad was happening, someone would say something. A girl would come forward, a parent would call something. And when nothing happened, I convinced myself I was wrong. He put the phone down. But I wasn't wrong, was I? No, I said. You were. Nora's the girl. Yeah, she's 17, a junior at Brad's school, and she's terrified because she thinks no one will believe her. I believe her, Dad said, like it was a simple fact. I believe her, and I believe you, and I'm done pretending I don't see what's right in front of me. What do you need me to do? I almost cried right then. After everything in that kitchen, after Mom deleting my recording, threatening to take Krista, slapping my face, after years of feeling crazy for seeing what no one else would admit, my father was standing there asking how he could help. Need to go to the police, I said. Nora hasn't made a statement yet. She's scared. She thinks they won't believe her because she was dating him, because she didn't fight back, because she didn't scream. She thinks it'll be her word against his. It's not just her word anymore. She has you. She has me. She has 3 years of notes showing a pattern. And she has the fact your mother's been covering this up, which means your mother knows there's something to cover. He grabbed his keys off the bench. Call Nora. Tell her we're picking her up. Tell her she's not alone anymore. I called Nora. She answered on the first ring like she'd been waiting by the phone. When I told her my dad believed her and wanted to take her to the police station, she started crying. Not the scared crying from before, this was relief, like S. Omion had finally thrown her a rope after she'd been drowning for weeks. We picked her up from her house. She climbed into the back of Dad's truck and looked so small. This girl who was almost Brad's age but seemed so much younger, so fragile. Dad looked at her in the rearview mirror and said, I'm sorry this happened to you. I'm sorry my son did this, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure he's held accountable. Nora nodded but didn't speak. The drive to the station took 15 minutes, and no one said a word. When we got there, Dad parked and turned to look at both of us. Whatever happens in there, we're in this together. If they don't take it seriously, we push harder. If they try to brush it off, we push back. Nora, you tell them exactly what happened. Don't soften it. Don't make it sound smaller. Don't let them make you feel like any part of this was your fault, because it was. Nora took a shaky breath. Okay. We walked into the police station together, the 3 of us. And for the first time since Nora showed up at my apartment, I felt like maybe we had a chance. I'd had 3 years of notes. Nora had her story, and we had each other. Mom and Brad were at home right now thinking they'd already won. They thought I was alone and hysterical and easy to dismiss. They had no idea Dad just chose his daughters over his son. They had no idea we just walked into a police station with proof going back 3 years. The war had just started, and they didn't even know it yet. I'll update you when we find out if the police will press charges. The police station smelled like old coffee and cleaner and disappointment. We sat in a small room while a detective named Robinson took Nora's statement. She told him everything. She told him about dating Brad for 3 months, how he was charming at first, how he made her feel special, how he said she was different. He told him about the night in the car, how she kept saying she wasn't in the mood, how he kept pushing, how she froze when he climbed on top of her, how she cried the whole time and he didn't stop. She told him about sitting in the shower afterward, trying to scrub the feeling off. She told him about going to my mother for help and being told rape doesn't exist in a relationship. She told him about her own mother being convinced to stay quiet. She told him everything, and Detective Robinson wrote it all down with a look on his face I couldn't read. I honestly didn't know how this would turn out. Nora finished, he closed his notebook and leaned back. Miss Green, I want to make sure I understand. You and Brad were in a relationship at the time. Yes, Nora said quietly. And during the incident, you said you told him you weren't in the mood. Did you at any point say the word no? Did you say stop? Did you tell him clearly you did not want to have sex? Nora's face crumpled. I kept saying I wasn't in the mood. I thought that was clear. But you didn't say no. I was scared, I froze, I couldn't. And you didn't try to leave the car, you didn't push him away, you didn't scream or call for help. I couldn't move, I was. Miss Green, I'm not trying to downplay what you went through. I'm explaining the situation here. You were in a relationship with this young man, you were alone with him by choice. You did not clearly say no or stop. You did not try to physically resist. There are no witnesses, there is no physical evidence. There is no recording. He looked at me when he said that last part, and I felt sick. Recording existed, I said. His mother deleted it off my phone, so it's gone. And even if it wasn't a recording made without consent in a one-party consent state, this is a one-party consent state. I looked it up. I only needed my own consent to record. You weren't part of the conversation you recorded. You recorded your brother talking to himself, essentially. That's legally murky at best. And regardless, the recording doesn't exist anymore, so it doesn't matter. Dad leaned forward. I have 3 years of documentation. Notes on my son's behavior, patterns, lies, other girls who were upset after being around him. Detective Robinson sighed. Mr. Holloway, I appreciate you trying to help, but notes about your son lying about where he was or a girl being sad after a breakup are not evidence of assault. They're not even admissible. They're just observations. So what are you saying? I asked, even though I already knew. I'm saying that without physical evidence, without witnesses, without a recording, without a clear verbal refusal, this case would be almost impossible to prosecute. The DA wouldn't touch it. A defense lawyer would rip it apart, and Miss Green would have to sit in court and be questioned about every detail of her sex life, her relationship with Brad, her behavior that night. She'd be asked why she didn't say no, why she didn't fight, why she didn't scream, why she got in the car, why she kept aiding him afterward. Is that something you want to put her through, knowing he'll probably walk free anyway? Nora was crying silently, tears running down her face. I reached over and took her hand. So that's it, I said. He gets away with it. I'm not saying nothing happened, I'm saying I can't prove it happened. There's a difference, and I'm sorry, I really am, but my hands are tied. We left the station in silence. Dad held the door for Nora, and she walked through like a ghost, like someone had hollowed her out. I knew that feeling. I'd felt it in the kitchen when Mom deleted my recording. This crushing sense that nothing you do matters, that the people who hurt you always win, that the system is built to protect them and punish you for fighting back. The drive home was 20 minutes of nothing. No one spoke. The radio was off. Just the sound of the engine and the road and 3 people trying to deal with the fact that we'd done everything right and it still wasn't enough. We dropped Nora off at her house, and she thanked us, which somehow made it worse. She thanked us for believing her. She thanked us for trying, like she'd already accepted that trying was all anyone would ever do. Like she'd already made peace with Brad, never facing consequences for what he did. Dad pulled into our driveway, and that's when I saw him. Brad was sitting on the front porch steps with his arms crossed and a smirk on his face that made me want to scream. He knew the way he looked at us, the satisfaction pouring off him. He knew exactly where we'd been and how it went. Mom must have told him everything. Go inside, Dad said to me. I'll handle this. No, I opened the car door. I'm done letting other people handle things for me. I walked up the driveway and Brad stood up slowly, lazily, like he had all the time in the world, like he'd already won and was just enjoying it. How was the police station? He asked. Did they laugh you out or did they pretend to take notes first? You think this is funny? I think it's hilarious. I think you dragged that pathetic girl down there thinking you'd be some hero, and they told you exactly what I could have told you from the start. Nobody cares, nobody believes her, and nobody's going to do anything to me because I didn't do anything wrong. You raped her. I had sex with my girlfriend. There's a difference. But you wouldn't know because you've never had a boyfriend, have you, Leslie? You've never had anyone want you like that, so you don't get how it works. Sometimes girls say they're not in the mood and they don't mean it. Sometimes you have to push a little. That's just how it is. That's not how it is, that's assault. And the fact you can say that with a straight face tells me exactly what kind of person you are. Brad stepped closer. You want to know what kind of person I am? I'm the kind who wins. I'm the kind who always lands on his feet. And I'm the kind who doesn't let his jealous, pathetic, attention-seeking sister wreck his life just because she can't stand that everyone likes me better. This isn't about me, it's about Nora. Nora's handled. Mom took care of it. Her own mother doesn't even believe her anymore. She's got nobody, and after today, neither do you. He glanced toward the house, toward the window of Krista's room. You know what I'm going to do? Brad said, his voice dropping to almost conversational. I'm going to make sure Krista knows exactly who you are. I'll tell her you're jealous of me, that you've always been jealous, that you make up lies for attention, that you left because you couldn't stand not being the favorite. I'll tell her you tried to ruin my life over some girl I dated, and the police laughed you out because everyone knows you're crazy. And you know what'll happen? She'll believe me. Because I'm here every day and you're not. Because Mom already told her you have mental problems. By the time I'm done, Krista will think you're the villain and I'm the victim, and there's nothing you can do about it. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Not because he was threatening me, I was used to that, but because he was right. Krista was 11. She lived here with him and Mom every single day. She heard whatever they told her. I was the sister who left, the one who only showed up for birthdays, the one who was easy to paint as unstable because I wasn't there to defend myself. Brad wasn't just threatening to hurt me, he was threatening to take the only person in this family I still loved and turn her into a weapon against me. He was going to poison my baby sister's mind until she hated me. And the worst part was, he could do it. He absolutely could. Mom would help him. She was probably already helping him. Every day I wasn't, there was another day they could drip their poison into Krista's ears. Another day to rewrite history. Another day to make me the monster and Brad the saint. Stay away from Krista, I said, my voice shaken. Gee, or what? Brad laughed. You'll go to the police again, make another recording. Face it, Leslie, you lost. You lost the second you walked out of this house 2 years ago. You gave up your seat at the table and now you don't get to complain about what's being served. He walked past me toward the house, bumping my shoulder hard enough to make me stumble. Oh, and tell Dad his little notes won't help either. Mom already knows about those. She's known for years. Why do you think she married him? He's useful and he's controllable, just like everyone else in this family. He went inside and slammed the door. Dad was standing at the end of the driveway. He'd heard everything. I could see it on his face, a mix of rage and helplessness and something that looked like shame. He's going to turn Krista against me, I said. I know. The police won't help. Mom has everyone convinced I'm crazy, and now he's going to use my own sister as a weapon. I know. So what do we do? Dad was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked at me with something hard in his eyes, something I'd never seen before. We stop playing defense.